The heartland of Sierra Leone, the country in which Aminata Fauna grew up. She's watching local mothers bring their babies to be weighed and immunised.
9.0. Every woman with young children has turned up for this. There's almost a festive atmosphere.
It's very different from the world that Aminata, as a London-based writer, now inhabits.
You'd never see this in the West. I've never seen this in the West.
Everyone's making the most of the vaccinations. But what they don't realise is that most of the money used to buy these jabs comes from places thousands of miles away. Like Canary Wharf in London, Aminata's hometown.
Most of the money that funds vaccination programmes in the developing world is raised in places like this.
It was in London in 2005 that the International Finance Facility for Immunisation, or IFFIm, was launched. 6 European governments pledged $5 billion to help fund immunisation projects run by the Gavi Alliance in over 70 of the world's poorest countries. IFFIm's aim was to make those future aid pledges available now. But how?
So how it works is a government pledges a certain amount of money for immunisation projects in the future. IFFIm say, OK, we'll raise that money now by issuing investment bonds, bonds that you or I could go out and buy, or our pension funds could go out and buy. And that makes the money available now for programmes in the field.
The IFFIm chairman is Alan Gillespie.
When we look back at the last 50 years, there have been endless attempts to bring effective development assistance to the poor countries. The Gates Foundation and a number of European governments said, what can we do to step in and make a dramatic difference to the way in which healthcare is delivered in the poor countries?
In order to make the money pledged by governments in the future available today, IFFIm borrows the money from investors. They aren't donating money, they're investing. Over the next 2 decades, more than $5 billion will be made available to IFFIm by the governments of the UK, France, Spain, Norway, Sweden, Italy, and now South Africa and the Netherlands. So far, IFFIm have raised more than $2 billion of that on the capital markets to be used now.
It's been an exciting idea, it's innovative. No one else has really come up with alternative mechanisms for delivering large numbers of vaccines, to making good that lag between what's available and what's actually delivered to the world's poor countries.
Back in Sierra Leone, Aminata wants to find out whether vaccines paid for out of the IFFIm initiative are reaching remote areas like this.
I'd really like to know if all the kids in this village are being immunised, because that will absolutely change things around ultimately and forever.
IFFIm money has helped to increase routine vaccination coverage here from just 40% to over 60%. In-country estimates indicate that figure is still climbing and could be as high as 85% by the end of the year. Normally, the villagers come here for vaccinations, but today the nurse is taking the vaccines to the village to make sure every child is up to date.
I guess for people in the West, taking your kids to be vaccinated is a routine and rather mundane activity. You go into a hospital, it gets done, you leave. But here, well, you can see, it creates such a festive atmosphere. It's like a party in here.
Until 2007, none of these babies would have been protected against the child killers like Hib. IFFIm money helped to include vaccinations against them into the national programme 2 years ago. The Gavi Alliance is the organisation which distributes IFFIm funds. According to the World Health Organization, its support of vaccination programs has averted 3.4 million deaths worldwide.
We're funding a number of various vaccines, and the most recently introduced vaccine is a vaccine called the pentavalent, which is a very new vaccine. And it's actually extraordinary to think that the pentavalent vaccine is now available to all the kids in Sierra Leone for free. All IFFIm funds are channeled through Gavi, and then it helps Gavi to reach more children with vaccination that help save their lives.
Rabonko is just one of millions of villages around the world being helped by Gavi and IFFIm money, which supports immunisation programmes for half the world's population.
Well, I think that we have been able to mobilise over $2 billion on an interest cost of just over 2%. That is a remarkable financial accomplishment in order to advance the cause of child health.
It's vaccinations. If that's what you're investing, that's what a child at this end gets.
Immunisation is a key need in healthcare. We in the first world have all benefited from immunisation when we were children. What we're now doing is giving that same immunity to disease to hundreds of millions of children across the poor countries.
Okay.